As you go through the building, there's a very different character on the north side on the second floor. Chicago Public Library was built on a site that was intended to be a memorial to the Union soldiers of the Civil War. They had hoped it to be a park. There was a great controversy when it was talked about putting the library on the site. As a compromise, they made quarters for the Grand Army of the Republic on the second floor of the building, a place of remembrance in a meeting hall, also a place of gathering for the meetings of the GAR, and an exhibit room. Unlike the rest of the building, which is all in light colors and is about light and reflection, this is more somber. This is Tennessee marble, and so you get a much more dark tone to it. The Grand Army of the Republic would be the equivalent of, say, the American Legion or the Veterans of Foreign Wars for Civil War soldiers. This was intended as a place where people could come and reflect on their war, their lost comrades, where families could come and remember. In the plaster are decorative motifs of armament, of shields and helmets. Above our heads, another dome. Now, many people often think it's another Tiffany dome. No, this is by the decorating firm of Healy & Millet. And Tiffany's wonderful, but Healy & Millet could hold their own. Louis Millet was a master of color. He was a master of putting glass together. He was one of the best friends of architect Louis Sullivan. He did the colors at the Stock Exchange Trading Room, which you can still see at the Art Institute. This dome is only partially restored. There only was enough money to restore the center so that natural light would come through and be able to clean and restore the glass. The rest is covered with a shell of concrete and copper that covered it over in the 1930s. Adjacent to the Grand Army of the Republic Rotunda is what was the exhibit room. This was a small museum of the Civil War. Big metal cases displayed historic battle flags. There were low cases that had artifacts of the war, a Confederate and a Union bullet that met midway. This was a place to learn the history of the Civil War. Beautiful Vermont variegated marble with dull gold finished bronze trim. Even the fuse box is made out of marble and bronze, of this very beautiful marble that comes from Vermont. One thing that was never painted over, fortunately, were the silver leaf decorations that represent different regimental symbols of regiments that served in the Civil War. So within the arches, you will see stars and shields and motifs, which somebody has carefully painted around since the time they were put there in late 1897. Building this building was a struggle, and bringing it in on budget was sometimes tough. And like in other areas of the building, things weren't finished. In the arches of this room are what looks like open shelves or niches and pedestals. Those were supposed to have busts of famous Civil War generals and figures. They never had the money to put them up in 1897 and 1898, and they still remain empty to this day. There was always the attempt to grab as much light as you could into this building, even in the GAR rooms. And so to steal light from the dome overhead, it would come through and go through these thick glass blocks and then illuminate the lobby down on the first floor. Tucked in the corner of the GAR Rotunda room are these wood partitions. These originally formed small meeting rooms and offices. The glass, for privacy, was given what they called a glue-chipped finish. It looks like it's made with frost. The way it was done was to take a polished plate glass, sandblast it so it's rough, and then take hot hide glue. This is the glue that they used to make like rendering old horses and things. But put it on the surface, and as the glue cooled, it was so strong it would actually chip the surface of the glass, creating this beautiful frost-like effect. And a nice little bit of Healy & Millet leaded glass above it, which also incorporates the same glue-chipped glass.